In the crucible of colonial India, a wave of tribal and peasant uprisings shook the foundations of British rule. From the Ghats of Satara to the hills of Chotanagpur, ordinary people rose, armed with hope, anger, and unshakable conviction. This is the fast-paced saga of India's tribal and peasant movements. In 1822, the Ramosis, once soldiers and policemen in the Maratha armies, took up arms in Satara under Chittor Singh. What drove them to revolt? Heavy land revenue assessments enforced with brutal coercion, harsh collection methods, beatings, property seizures, and forced labor. The British response was surprising, a pacification policy. They granted Ramosis land grants and folded them into a hill police force, hoping to neutralize their rage by making them part of the system. Next, traverse the dense forests where the Khonds dwelt, from Tamil Nadu to Bengal. For nearly 2 decades, they clashed with colonial authorities under the banner of Chakra Bisoi. Causes of revolt: suppression of Maria human sacrifices, a sacred Khond ritual; new British taxes on shifting cultivation; influx of zamindars and sahukars who strangled tribal livelihoods. By 1855, the movement waned, broken by relentless military pressure, administrative crackdowns, and the slow erosion of Khond autonomy. In 1844, Von Sawant rallied the people of Sawant-Wadi in the Ratnagiri district of Maharashtra against mounting British intrusions. It wasn't just one single spark that ignited the revolt, but rather an accumulation of unfair taxes and the loss of local privileges that fueled a deep-seated discontent with colonial rule. The British imposed martial law, and the revolt was crushed within months. Yet Sawant-Wadi left an indelible mark on Maharashtra's collective memory. Leap ahead to 1928 in Bardoli Taluka, Gujarat. A 30% land revenue hike ignites a satyagraha led by Vallabhbhai Sardar Patel. The Bardoli Inquiry Committee exposes the unjustified hike. Konkan camps were set up, 13 organized peasant enclosures for coordination. Women of Bardoli crown him Sardar. K.M. Munshi and Lalji Naranji resign their council seats in solidarity. Tension mounts. There's even talk of Bombay railway strikes. By August, an independent tribunal slashes the hike to 6%. Victory through non-violence, Bardoli becomes a landmark in Gandhi's India. In eastern India's Chotanagpur plateau, Birsa Munda emerges in Ulgulan, the Great Tumult. Birsa Munda, tribal folk hero. Land alienation under the zamindari system. Exploitation by British zamindars, missionaries. Forced labor and erasure of tribal customs. Though crushed and Birsa dying in custody, the uprising prompts the Chotanagpur Tenancy Act of 1908, a milestone in tribal land rights. Beyond the eastern Ghats, Alluri Sitarama Raju leads the Manyam Rebellion against forest laws and land grabs. Tactics include guerrilla raids on police stations and roadblocks. There was a ban on podu cultivation, harsh forest acts, and economic exploitation by officials and contractors. Captured and executed in 1924, Raju becomes a symbol of tribal valor and resistance. In Bengal, during 1859 to 1860, peasants revolted against the Tinkathia system, which forced them to grow indigo on 3/20ths of their land. There was no single commander. Instead, local leaders like Biswanath Sardar coordinated the violent uprisings. The result was the formation of the 1860 Indigo Commission. In 1917, Gandhi arrived in Champaran, Bihar. Through non-violent satyagraha, using facts, figures, and negotiations, he forced the abolition of the Tinkathia system. This marked his first mass movement on Indian soil. The Moplah Rebellion of 1921 in Malabar saw Mappila Muslims rising against Hindu landlords in a violent, communal-tinged uprising. The rebellion was brutally crushed, resulting in thousands of deaths. The Polygar Rebellion, spanning from 1799 to 1805 in Tamil Nadu, saw Veera Pandya Kattabomman and the Marudu brothers striking back with guerrilla warfare. Though they were ultimately hanged, their legend endures. The Wahabi movement, from the 1830s to the 1860s in North India, was led by Syed Ahmed Barelvi. His religious political campaign was crushed by the 1860s, yet it stands as a precursor to organized resistance. The Chuar Uprising, lasting from 1767 to 1833, involved the tribes of the jungle Mahals, such as the Bhumij. They attacked revenue collectors in an intermittent revolt that continued until 1833. The Santhal Rebellion of 1855 to 56 was a significant uprising. Sidhu and Kanhu Murmu led 60,000 Santhals in the Santhal Parganas. Unfortunately, it ended in a brutal massacre, but did result in the creation of a tribal district. The Kol Uprising of 1831 to 32 saw the Kols, Mundas, Orayons and Hos unite under the leadership of Budu Bhagat. This movement was marked by violent clashes and ultimately a harsh British military crackdown. The Sanyasi Rebellion, which took place from 1763 to 1800, saw Hindu sannyasis and Muslim fakirs raiding tax posts across Bengal. This significant uprising was immortalized by Bankim Chandra in his work and the iconic song Vande Mataram. The Paika Rebellion of 1817 in Khorda was led by Bakshi Jagabandhu Bidyadar. The Paika militia launched attacks on police stations, and although the rebellion was crushed within months, it is celebrated as Odisha's first war of independence. From guerrilla strikes to non-violent satyagraha, from tribal hills to peasant fields, these movements forged India's path to freedom. Their weapons were courage and conviction, and their legacy still echoes across our land. Tribals and peasants, the unheard voices of India's freedom struggle. Subscribe for more history.